Here we go. Here we go. Happy Monday in Europe. That's right. Athletes Forum Podcast. This is the locker room. What's going on? How's everyone doing? Appreciate you all coming back, subscribing to the channel, drop a comment, right? And let's get this week off started. We are getting closer and closer to a kickoff of what we hope, right? We hope to be, some good football from one of the top leagues in Europe. And we're getting closer and closer, right, to that May 15, Friday Night Lights, Paris versus Frankfurt Galaxy in the EFA. There's a lot I want to dive into today. Fourth down fiasco 2 weeks ago. They dropped the list. Top quarterbacks between the two leagues. I'm going to create my own list. I'm going to create my own list based on who I think are the top quarterbacks in the league between those two leagues, right? Some other things we're going to dive into, right? We got some new shows you should pay attention to, right? Not just us, Athletes Forum Podcast, right? There's some new shows coming about, some signings we're going to talk to. We got a team preview in the EFA, right? We got a team preview in the EFA, and then there's a lot of drama in the AFLE. We'll dive into that as well, too. But I want to kick this thing off right. Let's start with the top quarterbacks between the two leagues, the EFA and the AFLE. Fourth down fiasco. Listen, those guys have been doing a great job all off season, right? Pre-Christmas, heading into this year, a couple great interviews. Those guys have been putting out great content. Catch them every Wednesday. Subscribe via Spotify. Subscribe via YouTube. Top quarterbacks between the two leagues. I got my list, right? I'm gonna work my way up from the bottom up, right? That's the route I'll go. So a couple. So we got every quarterback signed except the London football team. Who knows if they're even still a team? But we'll go ahead and kick it off. So coming in, right? This is 12, right? Let me make sure I got this right. All right. Coming in at number 12, I believe. Right? I'll start with this, working my way up from the top. Evan Hillock, the Paris Lights quarterback. Listen, this is a guy, after watching some of his film, he throws a pretty good deep ball. He always puts it in the right spot, right? Away from the defensive back to make a play, right? Sometimes now he's late on a couple throws, right? But I think Paris Lights actually have a decent quarterback. Now, how does that translate over to the European game? We'll see. We'll see how it all pans out. But I have him coming in at number 12 for me. Right? Number 11, I tried to kind of dive deep with these quarterbacks. I tried to dive deep, especially with this one, because I wanted to see what the Raiders were thinking or what did they see in Steven Krajewski. Now, I like Steven Krajewski. Started at UConn, did a year at Georgia State, ended his career at Wagner in New York at the FCS level. Now, some of his tape is hard to watch because in a lot of games, his interior O-line is literally getting him killed most of the time, right? However, when he does have time, when he is throwing the ball, right, he's good. I like him. I like when he's settled, he can sling it, right? But that's when he's settled in the pocket. Now, if I'm trying to kind of figure out what this looks like for the Raiders, you think about the weapons that are going to be surrounded around him. One, he has the running game. We all know that with the Raiders. But two, Aaron Jackson, right? Marco Schneider, right? Adrian Platzgummer. So he's got some weapons at receiver as well, too. I think we might see a lot more play action under center, right? A lot more under center than what we've seen before in the past when it comes to the Raiders. Now, I could be wrong. I haven't talked to my guy over there in regards to what he's thinking in regards to the offense, right? But I'm going to make a prediction that we're going to see a little bit more under center with Steven, right? I don't think we're just going to allow him, or they're going to allow him to just chill in the shotgun for most of the game, like you've seen with a Perry, or like you've seen with other quarterbacks. Even Christian Strong stood in the pocket or more in shotgun as of late. So just doing the research and kind of see how to maximize Steven's strength, which is really the intermediate game, the digs, the comebacks, the deep crossers, right? So I think Steven is a guy that we're going to be looking at middle in the season. It's like, oh, he potentially is better than we think he is, right? But he's got to come in at number 11 for me. Number 10, I'm going with McKay, right? Matt McKay. From what we've seen when he first joined Frankfurt to the following year and kind of a disappointing year, right? You just wish there was a little bit more, right? You wish there was a little bit more that he was giving us, right? And obviously released his stint with the Raiders, cut short. His stint with the Galaxy cut short, right? So what is this going to look like now as a redemption for the Red Lions? All right. And Red Lions is a topic we'll get into later in the show, right? Later in the show. Next, I got Jacob Sullivan. Listen, nothing against him. I just think this guy lost his fastball. I don't think he's the same Jacob Sullivan we saw 5-6 years ago playing for the Frankfurt Galaxy, winning the ELF championship. Even years after that, similar roster, especially on the offensive side, right? Frankfurt still wasn't really able to get back to the team that they were, right? And I think that's why they've been striving to find more from that quarterback position since moving away from Jacob, right? Jacob goes to Berlin. Don't get me wrong, has a great year last year. And he had a lot of weapons as well, too. Now, with the protection, it gets a little iffy, but I just think Jacob lost his fastball, right? I think Jacob lost his fastball, so we'll see what that looks like going forward. But in my opinion, offensively, this is not a better Berlin team than they were last year. So we'll see how it all pans out, right? Next, I got Gabriel Cunningham. Now, he's potentially probably going to be the most frustrating quarterback to study, defend, game plan for, right? Because he could easily be in that Russ, Zach, Jalen conversation with how dynamic he is. Remember, when he was with, and this is kudos to not just his skill set, but what Fred Armstrong with Leipzig Kings was able to do with this guy in 3 games, right? 3 games, 652 passing yards, 10 passing touchdowns, 379 rushing yards, 4 rushing TDs. He really lit up the ELF in that 3-game span. Next year gets a new contract with the new team for Hevar and Throners, right? But doesn't make it to the season because of whatever happened. So really, we haven't really seen. I know he's played in Mexico, I believe, but really we haven't seen Gabriel Cunningham in a while, right? So this is more so just like I need to see what he's about now, and with because the talent's changed since he's been in the ELF. The talent's changed, right? So I'm curious what Gabriel's gonna look like next. Jamison Wang. Jamison Wang is a gamer. Jamison Wang is a baller. This guy will push the ball downfield, and he's not afraid to take a risk. And I love what the Rostock Panthers are doing with him. All right, I think that is one of the best QB team matches this offseason so far between the EFA and the AFLE. Right now, he's surrounded by tons of talent. Right, he's surrounded by guys who are going to protect him. Especially, I think what the Panthers did, they did a good job of securing that interior. Right, the interior on the offensive line. So Jamison Wang comes in next. After that, I got Ethan Garbers. I'm not trying to be a hot take. When I watch Ethan Garbers, I feel like some of the film, at least that I've seen, are plays really drawn up for him to be successful versus him just making a play. All right, and listen, he might have that in him. This is not a knock on him, right? But I've just seen more from other guys that I'll dive into. And maybe still waiting to see more from Ethan. And listen, we're going to get a chance to see it. That first matchup, he's playing against a guy that's going to force him to make plays in Zach Magic Edwards, right? Because Zach's going to make plays. Zach's going to make this game interesting. Ethan's going to have to, either keep up or we'll see where it goes. But Ethan Garbers comes in at number, I believe that's 6 for me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Ethan comes in at number 7. Number 6. This guy, I think, based on some of the standings, ratings I've seen, might be a little underrated. I'm talking about Kenji Bahar. All right. Kenji Bahar. I think this is a guy played at Monmouth, right? Played or was on practice squad or signed by the Ravens, right? This guy's pretty accurate, right? This guy is decisive. When he knows where he wants to go with the ball, it's a quick read. Ball comes out fast and it comes out accurate, right? And he's going to be protected with that Ryan offensive line, right? 7 brought him back, aka Ice Cream Trucks will be blocking his blind side, right? He's also mobile enough that can extend drives. I like Kenji a lot. I like him more than Ethan, and he's a bigger version of Jameson and Gabe, but he can also beat you with his arm too. Like I said, when he's decisive, he's accurate. All right, and the games I've seen, that's led to success. Next, Jalen Henderson. Listen, a lot of expectations have been put on Jalen Henderson because of what he did in the GFL. People are going to have to put that in the past, right? And obviously what he did at Paris didn't live up to expectations, but expectations were already through the roof with Jalen Henderson. He's in a position right now. I just spat off stats that Gabriel Cunningham had with Fred Armstrong. Fred Armstrong's going to get the best out of Jalen Henderson. I'm not saying he's going to be GFL Jalen, but I think Jalen is a guy a lot of people are sleeping on, right? And he comes in my top 5 of quarterbacks. Next, Tabor time. Russell Tabor. This is a guy, listen, he's in that Jalen category, right? He just proved last year to make a little bit more plays when they were needed, despite some of the mistakes he made. The thing with Russ is that Russ has a little gunslinger, Brett Favre in him, where he'll throw a stupid interception every once in a while. He'll also make up for it with an amazing play with his legs and his mobility, moving the pocket, making people miss, and then throwing the ball downfield, right? So Russ, big time playmaker, right? Comes in ahead of Jalen for me. Next, it's a bad man that's back in action. It's a bad man that's back in action. I'm talking about Zach Magic Edwards. Listen, I'm curious what he's going to look like with this year off, right? And I didn't make that, or I could have easily put that into play in regards to how I was ranking him. But listen, I think Zach, year off is probably what he needed. Needed a reboot, needed a refresh, right? And this Paris team is loaded. We'll do a team preview on Paris, but this Paris team is loaded. I'm excited to see what Magic's going to look like, all right, coming back. And then my top two, right? Ben Holmes comes in at number 2. Ben Holmes comes in at number 2, and in the small sample size that he has done in Europe, he's one of the top 2 quarterbacks in all Europe, right? He's been Vienna's longest tenured quarterback over the past 3 years, right? Still chasing that ring. Vienna's still chasing that championship that Jackson Erdeman got him in the second year of the ELF. And now they're in the AFLE, heavy favorites in the AFLE. Ben Holmes comes in at number 2. And I like Ben. He's played well in a lot of big games, right? I feel like this is the year. It's like, listen, you're either going to do it or you're not. That's not coming from me. I just, the aura, the rumors, the talks, right? The talks. So that leads to number 1. No surprise here, Jadrian Clark. Listen, this guy has been running Europe pre-ELF, pre-EFA, pre-AFLE, right? Jadrian Clark, listen, no one's had as much or as more success than Jadrian, right? And you look at what he's done, right? Even since year 1 ELF, taking Hamburg to the championship, right? Misses the next year, but comes back halfway through the place for the Ryan Fire. The rest is history. Right? That goes on to 2 championships, an MVP, an ELF championship, MVP, goes on to play at Nordic. They haven't lost at home yet. Jadrian Clark, best quarterback in Europe, not just EFA, AFLE, right? So that's my list, right? Let me drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think, right? Let me know what you guys think. And maybe there's some people out there that know who the London quarterback is going to be, right? We'll see what that happens, right? Hey, Athletes Forum Podcast here. I want to give a shout out to the EFA show, Brez and Tebs, right? Obviously, everyone knows my relationship with Breslington. Tebs, I haven't met him. Maybe I'll meet him one day. Maybe I'll have him on one day, right? So far in the shows that I've seen him, great personality. Love what he's bringing to the show. Love what he's bringing to the league. Brez and Tebs show live Tuesday and Friday, I believe, for EFA on their YouTube channels, right? I won't dive deep into EFA signings, but I'll give you a couple that I like. First, Chris Malumba going to Frankfurt. Frankfurt is low-key building the defense. We'll dive into Frankfurt as well, too, right? But you think about Chris Malumba now complimenting Anthony Mark Orr, right? With Sebastian Gauthier, right? Toby Naylor, and then we've already talked about the secondary, right? I like Chris Malumba in regards to giving them a little bit more of a guy that's going to free up some double teams for Anthony, a guy that could win double teams and also win one-on-ones, a guy who was dominant. I like that signing. Another signing I like with what the Raiders did, Jacob Schuscher, right? A young up-and-coming linebacker, right? Comes through that Raider program, right? I'm excited to see how he's going to look because he's going to be paired up with Jay Jackson from the Raiders, right? Jay Jackson played for Cologne, played for Barcelona. Damn, I miss Barcelona. God, leave Barcelona. Hamburg, they're also going to be paired up with Jasper DeJoma, right? So it feels like the Raiders have their trio at linebacker, and we'll see how it looks. But Jacob Schuscher is a young talent, and I'm excited to see what he looks like. I've heard nothing but good things about him, right? We're getting closer to that Sunday and he's going to be tested. He's going to be tested. He's actually going to be tested by this team we're doing a team preview on. And yes, I am talking about the Munich Ravens. You want to talk about a team that's been on a heater, the team that's really been trying to make their mark or make a statement, right? It's the reason why I left them off the signing period, right? The Ravens ain't playing around, right? They're building a more athletic, more dominant, more feared Ravens team that Munich has ever seen, that EFA has ever seen, right? And Kentrell, he's got a little bit of a monkey on his back. First year with the Ravens, they lose to Paris in an overtime loss. Second year, at home, at the crib, you lose to your arch rivals, Stuttgart Surge, in a nail biter, right? In a nail biter of a game. Kentrell's got to get out this first round. All right, not just out the first round. He's the Munich Ravens. I feel like this is a team. This is with how they're built, a team that is battle tested, a team that is good, a team that is experienced, a team that has their fair shake of wounds. They have to do it. Get to the championship. At least get to the championship this year, barring any injuries, right? When you look at what they've done on offense with Kyle Callahan, right? The gang is back together. You think about Russell Tabor and Tabor Time, Justin Rodney, right? Malik Stanley, Marvin Rouge, Okonkwo, right? One of the most underrated tight ends. Abobi, right? Onye, Sayer, Brandt. Oh, not to mention they just signed Louis Geyer, Justice Selig, right? And Sexton Dragon, bringing him back into the mix from Madrid. Who are you guarding? How are you defending them, right? How are you defending that offense? You got two running backs that could easily rush for 1,000. You got about 3 or 4 receivers that could go for about 600 or 700 plus, right? Listen, what this tells me, this offense, it's all on Tabor. It's all on Kyle Callahan, right? How are you going to run this well-oiled machine? How are you going to run a plethora of talent, guys who can win one-on-ones, guys who can take the top off the defense, guys that are uncoverable, but also you're going to have to stack the box, right? Because you got Justin Rodney, who just state his name and came onto the scene as one of the top running backs in Europe, right, last year, all right? And you got Justice Selig, Offensive Rookie of the Year, right? Munich's going to be dangerous. Then you look at the defensive side. You look at Kentrell's side. Again, the gang is back together, right? We got Lou. We got Darkwa. We got Whale Nazary. We got Hiswell. I can't forget about Nitzlander. Not to mention, they add my guy, who I played with, Alex Reich, and Tony Anderson to the mix, right? Just look at that back seven. You got Whale in the middle. You got Alex Reich, right? Whoever, maybe it's Kevin Titz that you have, right? Those are your 3 linebackers. In the secondary, right? You have Tony Anderson, right? You have Nitz. I know who potentially are some 2 other signings they're going to bring in, right? I'll tell you, man, scary season for Munich, right? And you look at their schedule, their first 4 games, they go Raiders, which is a rivalry game, probably one of the best rivalries between the EFA and the AFLE. Now you got bye week, and then you go Frankfurt, Paris. right? So, with that being said, the Munich Ravens, drop a comment in the chat. Let me know. Is this a scary season for them? Is this the year? Do they have to win this year? Will Kentrell get out of a first-round exit and finally get the first dub, right? They renewed the contract, right? This is a team that's in lockstep. They move in unison, right? Ravens are a team to be reckoned with. They're going to be a team to be reckoned with, right? Good luck to whoever the defensive coordinator is trying to defend that offense. I'll just leave it at that. Let's switch to the AFLE. Man, what's going on with the Red Lions? I mean, front office gone. Bart gone, allegedly. Head coach is gone. They bring in Bill Shuey, former defensive coordinator, promoted to head coach. It's not a good look for the AFLE. This was a league that was supposed to give us Monaco, allegedly. This is a league that did give us an Italian team, but it feels like the Italian team is falling apart even before they even built, right? This is a team that promised us a London team. Haven't heard one thing from the London team since. This is not good. There's tons of drama right now in the AFLE. And ultimately, it's just the stain to the league, right? You do the math here. I feel like I have one league in regards to how it's being portrayed, one league that feels like they're rushing to get things done, feels like they're worried about the other league, feels like they're selling a lot of promises and hope, yet there's no foundation, right? There's no foundation. On the other side, I got another league that's almost moving in silence, right? Moving very poetic, right? Teams are building competitive rosters. Focus on themselves. You do the math. You know who I'm talking about. So, drop a comment. This is where we're supposed to drop a comment. Red Lions. How do we feel about the Red Lions and everything that's going on? And listen, I got to give another shout out to Fourth Down Fiasco and my guy Tanner. He called it. He doesn't believe the Red Lions will even play. He said that before the news last week. I'm starting to believe it. Meanwhile, on the other hand, we got teams like the Vienna Vikings, the Rhine Fire, the Russell Panthers starting training camp. Alpine Rams. Listen, that's been the one team I feel like that has been solid at all the teams, right? But you got teams that are literally running training camp, right? You got teams that literally have a built-out roster. Meanwhile, I have teams that are still doing tryouts. I have teams that haven't said anything since they've been announced. I have teams that haven't signed homegrowns. I have teams that, hired a head coach for 2 weeks, and then now he's gone along with the GM. I got questions, and you can't blame me for having questions. I know the locker room has questions. We have questions for the AFLE, right? And I want to take this moment to give a shout out to my guy, Nick Alfieri. All right, he is running inside the league for the AFLE. He does some good shows. He had 2 good interviews. Chad Wallerin, Ben Holmes, now uploaded onto the YouTube page. Those are some good watches as well. I'm curious to see who is next. He should bring me on next. That's what I think. All right, let's get to some signings and let's get out of here. Let's get our week started, right? Some signings that I like in the AFLE. Andy Vera, defensive back, played for Barcelona, played for Madrid. Now it's going to Berlin, right? In a position where I feel like they really haven't had a lot of good, solid DBs. He's looking to solidify that position. And listen, Berlin's doing some things defensively, at least in their back seven, right? Their front is where I'm concerned about. So we'll see how maybe Kyle Kitchens will come out of retirement. All right, we'll see how it pans out. Lucas Siebert, not necessarily leaving the surge, but joining the Vienna Vikings. The rich get richer. This is a team that might blow most teams out in this league by like 25, 30 plus, right? Their 2s and their 3s are imports, right? Their 2s and their 3s are imports. Tell me I'm lying after looking at their roster. Go to ELFpedia if that's still it. They might have changed it, right? This is a team that's loaded. Maybe we'll do a team preview at some point, but they could wait, right? They're getting their fair share. And then Xavier Edwards, my guy. Listen, I've been a fan of Xavier since Vienna Vikings year 2, their first year in the ELF. I saw a guy who traditionally you would count out based on his size, really continually being undersized or overlooked. Xavier Evers was a dog. Now, listen, he's gotten older. I'm sorry, X. He's gotten older. He's coming off an Achilles injury. We all know that. So what does it look like for him playing for the Paris Lights? I like the signing. All right. I like him paired up with Coach Shelton. Right. They just signed also Peter Lundstrom, who played for Prague, spent some time in the States and for DB. So we're going to be curious to find out. But hey, that's all I got for you guys today. Athletes Phone Podcast, The Locker Room. Listen, subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. Remember, Tuesdays on the EFA side, Breads and Tebs. Wednesdays, Fourth Down Fiasco. Thursdays, we may give you another show. We'll see how it pans out. Fridays, Breads and Tebs again. If there's a show out there covering these leagues, covering Europe that I miss, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys think. I'll shout them out too, right? By Athletes Phone Podcast.